जना से भस्म हुए धूर्त सब धड़ से होगा सर अलग टुकड़े होंगे आतड़ियों के हरी हुए उग्र ये हरी हुए रुद्र छिड़ गया है जंग एक ठनी अस्त्र शस्त्र दंत नख है भौह अब तनी चल पड़े तो मर गए जितने भी असुर थे यहाँ बह रही धरा पे लाल रक्त की नदी 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 नवः रुद्र रूपम नवः पुत्र रूपम नवः रुद्र रूपम नवः पुत्र रूपम जय 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 नरसिंह जय
श्रीनरसिंहकवचं ध्यायेत् लक्ष्मीपतिं नारसिंहं विभूतिम् सिंहासनस्थं सुरसिद्धसंसिद्धिम् सिंहमुखं दैत्यनिशाचरान्तकम् भक्तानां भयाहरं त्रिभुवननाथम् ॐ श्रीनरसिंहम् उज्ज्वलितज्वालदेत्यः रक्षतु मां सर्वतः सर्वदैव पूर्वे प्रहरादवल्लभा शूरो जेति दक्षिणे भक्तप्रवरं मदपोतु पश्चिमे चतुर्भुज करवालधारी उत्तरस्यां वै नमो करुणाकराय ऊर्गवीरण्यकशिपुं हतवान् प्रभो अधो न सिन्धे सततं मम रक्षतु शिरो मे सिंहाय विकटाय पातु ललाटे च रक्तवाल्यभूषणः नेत्रे श्वेतज्वालधारी महावीरः श्रवणे सिंहनादो मम रक्षतु न सम्पातु हिरण्यस्य मर्दकाय वदनं नारसिंह सदा मङ्गलाय जिह्वां योगानन्दकदेत दंष्टरा कण्ठे पातु प्रह्लादानन्ददाताय भुजौ चक्रधीरः खड्गविशालधारी वक्षः पातु महालक्ष्मीपति नाभिं च पातु नरः सदैव कटिं मे करुणासिन्धुः समर्थः जङ्घे पातु महावीरवेषः गुल्फो पातु विश्वरूपधारी पादोस्किराय श्रीनरसिंहदेवः शरणागतं मे पातु हरिरनन्दः सर्वरोगान् शमयतु श्रीनरसिंह दुःस्वप्नदारिद्र्यमपि हरतु दुःखं मोहं विघ्नं विहरतु मे सदा भक्त्या श्रीनरसिंहं भजे फलश्रुते श्रीनरसिंहकवचं पठेत् सततं भक्तियुक्तो नरः सर्वदा
Okay. Shit, I gotta hide my hairdo. Oh, perfect. Oh, stop. Stop. Okay, bring that Shaligram. I'm gonna be right back. I gotta wash my hands. Sorry, Shaligram. Okay. I just smoked, felt obliged. Okay. Before getting to Shaligrams, Sudarshan Chakra, which is Shaligram related in general, I was looking for music to make a new playlist, which is what this is. New playlist of music I put together of no copyright. One of which is called Anchor Hill. Dude is killing it, bruh. So many songs that are no copyright of his. And it's all fucking bomb. So I'm good for this. Cool. This is a little more traditional, maybe. But the Sudarshan Chakra, I was like, how is it? Is it? I think it's an A, but I just put it without an A. And I looked, just Sudarshan. I was like, is there any songs? Maybe I could find a song. And I was like, I don't really know how to spell it, so I looked it up, pulled up the Wikipedia, and was just like, wait a minute. I don't know. Maybe I saw it in an image. Some reason I came across this. And this. I'm like, dude. Oh my god. I mean, this is recent, but I'm like, does the Star of David have a Hindu origin? Okay, not the Star of David. Okay, the six-pointed star. That it's correcting me because the specific term Star of David, of course, does not have a Hindu origin, but the symbol long before it became. I'm like, oh, it's just like the swastika. Both of them were stolen and put into some other thing. I just kind of thought the symbol sucked. I was like, fuck this symbol. Originated in Islamic or Jewish. We don't even know. Well, which one do you think it came from? Whichever one shawarma came from, maybe. Shit. Falafel, maybe. I don't know. Sorry, guys. Oh, shit. I don't know. Maybe hummus. I don't know. Going out on a limb here. Shit. Talking shit now. Okay, I don't want to talk too much shit. It's not. It's the Shaligram Zone. Only reason I even bring up the Sudarshan Chakra is because it's related to Shaligrams. That's why I was looking for it. That's why I came across this. Wow. His palm is like currents colliding in opposition in both palms. I'm like, I don't have a pointy thing at the top. I do have the bottom, but the top is not really just like, probably not in anyone's hand. It's probably more like that. And then he's holding the Sudarshan Chakra. Okay. I do have some Facebook or Twitter posts about Shaligrams recently. Let me find it. I should have pulled it up, but I was maybe being lazy. I was busy making this. Oh shit, I copied freaking nothing. Undid my copy. Okay. There's at least one. Here's another one. Where is that? Same thread. Okay. I guess I can just do this. I just don't want to show all my friggin' Gaza related posts at the top there. It's like, I'm like, shit, man, I might get fucking my YouTube account banned over showing something that, like, dudes, if you passively are supporting Israel, you're not paying attention. Like, probably should see that. So it's like something that's persuasive because it's so fucking heinous. Like, oh yeah, that's fucking terrible. What the fuck is happening? But anyone trying to share it is just fucking at risk. Okay, I guess I covered all the Shaligram posts. Here we go. So, get wrecked science. This is from this video. I'll click in a second. What do we see? So we got the ammonite in the Shaligram. Anyone who doesn't know, these are not fossils. Ammonites are not fossils. They are entirely the products of current flows that eddied inside of a matrix and produce the shapes. And here is a instance where get wrecked science, it lacks the capacity to acknowledge that there's a chakra forming here. What I mean by that is one of these here, or at an eddy center, at times forms like this by having just like spokes outward from a center point where then it starts to actually erode. And maybe looking at this, someone's like, wow, well, that's not ammonite. But it is just the beginnings of one, as evidenced by like the tendency. The tendency evidences that it is one beginning to form. The individual Shaligram does not prove it in and of itself, but when looking at Shaligrams as a whole, it's demonstrable and evident that this actually is an ammonite that was being formed on the side, or needs explained from a fossilization standpoint as an imprint. But the problem with an imprint is it's an imprint into the three-dimensional space of another ammonite. So how's it getting in there to imprint it if there's another ammonite there? Oh, well, it just happened to break exactly perfectly so that it could exactly imprint along its margin, and yet leave the boundary of the other ammonite as if it wasn't imprinted. Because the reality is current comes out of the pores that it's etching. As an eddy happens here, it starts to produce weak points at boundaries of the current where essentially pressure converges at that point, and that leads to an off-shooting current with like a higher energy of the having the capacity where like this general current does not, to cut through the matrix and begin to produce space for the eddy to vent through, or to etch a larger ammonite if there's enough matrix. But in this case, it comes out of the side, but there's current involved, so then another eddy forms from that eddy interacting with another current, or from the current coming out of the side interacting with another current. So another eddy forms here on the side. We can see the currents on the surface and doing all sorts of subtle but visible things. So that's that one. Here is another example where the ammonites are not fossils. This is at a time when I'm a little more confused in the words and exactly the place to use them, and kind of just interchangeably using Shaligram and ammonite as the same word. Regardless, chakra over here on the edge of this ammonite forming, because it's a tendency, not a like random coincidence. It's actually something that happens in certain circumstances. In this circumstance, it formed on the side, but there was much more matrix there, and it actually formed an actual eddy to the point where an ammonite took shape in the eddy by it etching the shape under the pressures of the circumstances. Which is why it's like pointing up to the top here, not coincidental. It's resting along the widest portion of the stone, not coincidental. Here's another one where we have an ammonite on top, another ammonite below it, and a third ammonite chakra that's real subtly forming on the side of both of them. So again, the tendency even more peculiarly there. Then I started just looking around. Here's another Shaligram, which at first glance is maybe not that interesting compared to other Shaligrams with more complexity to things to look at, pretty much. This one's pretty like simple. It's an opening, a little bit of like etchings along margins that it's doing over here, but nothing that's like super disproving modern science kind of thing about it, at least at a glance. But I noticed over here is actually quite chakra shaped, like back like the boundary shape here. And a lot of times it forms chakras on the edge, like half of the chakra and that is like flat and the other half is like into the stone. So it could be doing that with that, whereas where it was like essentially the eddy isn't just like at a position, just like it moves depending on circumstances, so that the eddy's center can be like unclear, or it can transition from one place to another. Maybe it started here, but it just wasn't able to like etch a full chakra, and then the energies were there for that needed to like enter the stone somehow, and it was trying to etch into the stone pretty much under the pressures that were present, because this is under high pressure where currents are drilling into the stone, eddying on the surface, flowing along these paths, interacting and eddying at times along flat faces like this. And so it probably like went in here and started to do the chakra, but current that would have gone over to the other side just slipped off the side, so it wasn't very stable as a eddy center. So instead, when it went in, it ended up producing an eddy with a chakra there, but with remnants of the beginning possibility of this being the chakra actually along the entry point. Which kind of makes sense that it like along the entry point, if a current's coming in, this like back there doesn't exist yet. It's kind of like over here, it's still just matrix. If it's coming in, then and eddying like right here, say adjacent to this edge, the chakra that was forming, but drilling in here, or maybe this way, or even both, uncertain. I would say at least counterclockwise, so to get like up there. Probably both ways, as it seems to be, like where they're going in opposition and running into each other due to circumstances where they're pushed into each other, which is like that palm where the currents are colliding. If we look at like earth.nullschool.net, maybe, I think that's it. Nice. Ocean currents. Like wherever they're colliding in opposition, they produce that shape. Like here's one. Oh Lord, Paul. But yeah, what did I say here? Side note, recessive chakra at opening. Below it is a second ammonite that was forming as a current drilled in above the ammonite to create a porous, lighter color material with the shell stripped away, parallel with the first, and sharing a margin. So in this image, it's really not clear what I just said. This down here was actually becoming one of these, where it was literally eroding another opening by getting in underneath the chakra, as we see in the next image. So here's the chakra again, where I actually drew the lines. If you look closely, like they're going this way, and then over here they're going the opposite way. They're going that way, and then over here they're going that way. There's definitely some this way too, but and then down, it's like literally got nuances of like, if you were to like try to paint a chakra, or maybe cut a chakra by just kind of like a paintbrush kind of motion though, where it like cut though, like probably would do like slashes like that kind of thing, and like that way, and then that way, where it's just like kind of doing it, but not enough. It ended up actually doing it over here. So that's what I was drawing there, just to kind of capture it. Also, as it tends to happen a lot, where it has like an interior boundary of a chakra, and then kind of like a protruding but more eroded looking, like it could kind of be a secondary boundary, but it's like the actual boundary. But like it could have eroded away and looked more cleanly like a chakra, essentially. Because it kind of protrudes there, but you notice that little part going in that's kind of harder boundary there. Besides the actual, like, there's nothing beyond it kind of boundary over here. It's got a like a Christmas tree chakra type shape. That shouldn't really be there. Like, it shouldn't be there if here's the chakra. Like, if it's an ammonite, that is a sea creature. If ammonites are sea creatures, and this is a fossil of a sea creature shell, it shouldn't have its center like replicating on the edge just for no fucking reason. And it's not like it's another ammonite, like it's part of this ammonite. Whereas then, essentially, current... So maybe it like drilled in counterclockwise here to like create the edge like this. But then some of it went off this way and drilled in here, but then like went over this way too, but that's running into the counterclockwise. So, like, if I draw it, rather than exactly what I drew, but like because there's this, it's something going into here, suggesting going this way, but still where it like goes across to and produces an eddy here, where they then are in opposition, which then can lead to an offshooting current this way, which then like eddies over here in general on top of the surface, but drills in probably in the opposing direction into the surface, and just based on it going in on this side and like opening a gap this way. Like if it drilled the other way, it would probably have gone more back like that. So basically, taking this boundary that is part of this ammonite structure in general, and doing this thing where it uses it as another margin for another one, where then it's like creating a stack of them with a chakra that may or may not be forming. I don't know, there's no images really inside of this. Can't really see inside, it's just kind of darkness in the like one image of this. Here's another one. Looking at this shaligram, the right lobe appears to have partly grown larger to the point. So here's this right lobe. Larger to the point that the lobe extends to just below the chakras. So like up here, it's extending beyond the boundary of the main lobe. Like it's clearly got the shape of a continuation out there, especially with that, and just generally the shape, and like these things going on here, suggesting it went down further in terms of what the structure was doing. So all of it's part of the structure, but then off of it, going down to like below the chakra, is this, which is quite odd to me. I was like, this is weird. The right lobe appears to have partly grown larger to the point that the lobe extends to just below the chakras, i.e., the eddy was attempting to form a larger lobe and was being shifted away from the chakras. So here's the chakra. So imagine there's an eddy. That's in this space, like actually. And like pseudo-contained because it's in the currents of the surrounding process. And over here, it's able to vent. So pressure out over here. But then over here, it's got this like thick mass. So it's not able to vent as easily. So instead, it does the only thing it can really do in that circumstance, which is to grow and to grow and to shape to the point where it can vent. So then it like kind of reaches far enough to vent, as well as of course in the front here. But this is where current is like drilling into it, so it's kind of like it can't vent away from it very easily. So it has to find a way to vent. And over here on this side, anything that went left was able to vent. So what that means is that it stops growing, basically. The eddy doesn't really like do another lobe. But over here, it's like, well, I'm gonna grow to the point where it actually like tried to do like this thing down here and like here too. This like dot has just not really connecting on the side, but like making the lobe like bigger to the point where it extends to the chakras. Like that's not where the lobe should be. Which then means it was trying to shift the chakras into and like maybe even here. Like it is where it was centered on at that point. Where this kind of behaved like a nucleus, maybe because it was not growing anymore even. I don't know. I wasn't really don't know if I got any further in my thoughts. Okay, here's where I put the chakras in my thoughts. Then oh yeah, that's right, because this side kind of has a shape where it's like its own thing. Like if you just look like right here, this arc of the matrix is kind of mirrored here and just kind of extended. It's like its own shaligram with the top matrix, bottom matrix. And so if you just kind of center it, that's like the chakras here. So it could theoretically like essentially strip away all of like this stuff. Just strip it away so it's gone, and do the same over here, wherever it may be, like this area. Strip it away. And then, depending on, obviously in this case, there's not a matrix to do to shape it like that, but to just like create a chakra out of whatever's there, and then downward kind of thing, and upward, where there's still a shape of a chakra, just literally got moved to a new location. Here it didn't, but it was like trying to, it seems. Based on this, like it was a lot of energy over here to the point where it was kind of like transitioning to the other side, but there is just venting over there, so it wasn't reshaping it, I guess. I don't know. That, which is also the this is the hand one, by the way. Hopefully this is the actual link. Come on, dude. What the frick? Oh, it's probably his website, honestly. This website doesn't work a lot. Oh crap, I don't know how much. It probably wasn't showing a lot of the songs. Okay, it's the actual link at least. I could have probably found it in my folder by now. Here it is. And this one. I guess I'll Close all that stuff. Which looks like there's the opening, there's the venting side. We can even see it like wrapping around. Strongly supportive. It was just venting over that way. Whereas over here, it's running into a wall of resistance. Probably related to this ammonite. Where this is like just running into resistance. There's another boundary right there. Literally a hand. Oh my god. Can't even make works of art as cool as this. Shit, fucking. Someone picked this up off the ground. Or in a river. Imagine. You're looking at the rocks in the river. And a hand is sitting there. This shit is not like someone's changing its shape afterwards. These stones are out of control. Out of control. Like, you can't even really see in the boundary here that it's sharp like this. Looks totally normal. Here's this thing right there, which has like doop, 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 doop. Little pores, like it's a chain of them, goes up to the edge here. There's even like little teeth looking things like here. Oh my, it flows like a river around this boulder. Doop, doop. Oh my. Which strongly supports, if it's going smoothly like this, it strongly supports that current is doing like this. Because we have it coming in here at the front and going both left and right into the stone. But then, like, the left side, it's actually going with this trend here that's like wrapping around here. Whereas over here, it's running into it. So then it's building a margin of their interaction. Also, it's coming in where this mound is. That can't be an accident. Like, it's not part of this ammonite, really. It's got, like, a weird shape to it. Where it's not really part of this ammonite, not really part of this ammonite. Just, like, a really recessive ammonite forming where probably nothing cohesive, just like a boundary that sort of started to form. We can see like a shape there, and there a little bit, and almost like these patches that'll happen that will sometimes turn into ammonites in larger scale settings that I'm thinking of, where I never considered it as being like a little like this just before it became defined. when it was way less defined. That's how shaligrams are, fractal. Then I guess this thing here and this here, it must be related to these kind of running into each other, where most of it goes this way, but maybe like it shoots through a current that goes through that way, that maybe interacts at the top substantially enough to actually have an eddy happen here. I'd be surprised at the top eddy. I mean, I guess that's how they are though. It's usually the top eddy in these types of shaligrams that is fed by the bottom eddy, although the physics of the shaligram video, I interpreted it at least the opposite in that shalligram's case. Regardless, I don't want to get distracted on that topic. If top or the bottom, when I don't even have the stone to look at more than this. Here's the top, I think. Alright, yeah. The hand is like sideways. So it's really, even though here it kind of looks top, like it's the top, it's really like along the side like this. Oh man. With innards visible. Man, this shalligram's so cool. So cool. I'm pretty sure these ones sold. Might be reserved. Reserved. There's no way I wouldn't have it if it wasn't reasonable. So this one with the smiley face. Oh yeah, sorry, I'm just skipping through things. This one had it doing the same thing, where it just had like a recessive chakra over here in the shape. Like it's too big at the center relative to over here, and it's literally inward in a chakra shape, suggestive that it started like right here and just slipped over here to the point where this became the focal point of the eddy, and this became like the pathway for current over here, where it just didn't remove the material to connect it more smoothly like the rest. Even down here it looks like it had a bit of a chakra forming. So maybe it was even taller than just like right there. This one, I just drew eyes with the mouth. Eyes with the mouth. This, I don't have any other pictures at the ready, but this is like a repetitive thing that's probably relevant that I still haven't quite figured out what to make of it. And why it's so systematic. This picture is pretty good to introduce something I noticed. So I'm thinking we can look at this shaligram momentarily. Because right here, there's this slice that goes like this, and then it continues over here, and I think this is still it there, even though it looks not in line. And then there's a slice that goes this way of this ammonite. But I think there's more. Like I was looking, like I think there's another one like here even that all kind of converge. in a way that looks, maybe even that, maybe it's that one. That looks kind of like it's doing like spokes. Which it does on the stone at a, like nearby. I believe nearby. Yeah, very nearby. Let's check it out. Let's check it out. I think this camera's having issues. It was $40. I think I ran into a Shaligram with it. Oh no. The way is not like a continuous line either. It's like etched. Like a sewing thread or something. So we've got I had like a freaking epiphany on this Shaligram the other day. I wasn't really thinking about talking about whatever that even was. Maybe I can remember. So like across this way, to like right there, it meets the actual ammonite boundary, but it also meets this boundary here pretty much at the same spot, especially if I don't know. I was gonna say especially if the material was not gone, but I don't know if that's true. I think that actually would make it less meet at the same spot. But it seems to go in this like pixelated one. It goes in and actually bends right here. It bends in, which is like, why would it do that? If it's after the fact, like these are, it's literally like going straight like these other ones. We see it over here. Oh yeah, I remember what it was. Oh, I'm stoked to show you guys. Wow, look at those boundaries. They go so many like different directions. They're going this way, but then in the tip area, they're going like the opposite direction. This way. Up to about here, about around that boundary, where then they're transitioning back to the other way. At least in that region that we're looking at there, it looks more smoothly one way over here. So notice this bottom left one is more so pointing at the one right above my head and not the further up one. Like going across. Even though it's related to this one way. And then if we look at it like this, it cuts across and just keeps going. So it's clearly not just the ammonite. Like, this is not the ammonite boundary here. This ammonite here. This boundary right here is not as simple as this boundary continues over here, this portion right here. This is not a continuation of that boundary, because if we look at it from the side, we can see it continues across and goes in the far side across, like right above there. It cuts across, literally cuts across and continues. Drop the toothpick, baby. More pores, but even cooler. Lots of nuances. Oh man, they get tiny. Oh, it's so cool. I think it was this Shaligram. Where was I looking at it? Where I was like, oh. Okay, let's go through some details. We gotta go through some details. So, this Shaligram has so much going on. It's got the ammonite we were just looking at. Seems to have like a recessive chakra on the right. And then there's that divide. We even see like way back, like if I go right there. Like I can almost connect the left cut to the I don't see it anymore. Something in the back. Maybe there. Anyway. But there's that ammonite. But then if we follow it just kind of turns into some other stuff. Like there's a weird opening there that's basically part of the ammonite. And then it continues into some sort of like chakra looking segment right there. Where am I? This a chakra, and then like a tier here, and another tier, and then a cross. Sort of doing like a pseudo chakra thing, and then this boundary. This thing. Man, I almost need to pull up some images. Let me see. I have a bunch of images. I'm just checking my notifications. Oh yeah. Da-da. Here we go. Oh, you guys couldn't see anyway. Like, what? What are you talking about, dude? Dude's high as fuck. So we got these ones cutting through this ammonite with a chunk of the ammonite just cut, almost like the smiley face, like continued and removed the chakra. But then along the boundary of the chakra is this one. So that we got these weird little wrapping around things. Cut across it and kind of are narrower here and kind of widen over here. Don't quite stay the same distance apart, and a kind of different fold to it. This goes in more. This one stays more rounded looking. And literally avoiding the pressure of the system. Just avoiding it. Like just pushing it over so whatever was cutting through here was being pushed by an eddy here to actually have to cut through over to the side a bit more. Whereas if there wasn't an eddy there, it would have taken a shape more like this if everything else was the same. But instead it goes just along it, and here we see that kind of 1, 2 repetitive ammonite thing. Here's another one, and 3, where it's kind of like the ribs one after another, and the lobe or the recesses along the surface of an ammonite, just where an eddy is doing that and creating it. And sometimes it does it only in part, and like really what ends up happening is not an ammonite as much as many ammonites or parts of ammonites, where each like segment into along a rib is more like a nucleation site for an eddy, where then an ammonite exists, but they tend spacing themselves in non-random ways. And then we see across this stuff going on, like repetitively across, which seems related to that boundary over there and over there, maybe. Wrapping around. Oh, I'm trying to think where, like, I don't see what I was thinking of earlier. Here's the boundaries where it's kind of forming like spokes of an ammonite. They're not quite merging together like over here, but this is opposite to where it's doing that kind of thing. But this is opposite to, if we find it, wherever it is, this. I don't know why I didn't include it very much. There it is. So if we literally go through, Maybe I'll do this actually. It's just opposite. Flip it. Is like if we go like this, is this point, basically. Like a protruding region of the stone where this eddy generally was. So like through to there. There we go. That's a good image of it. Where it's like a nub from a pressure. Because current's drilling in here in a weird anomalous way where it drilled in but also ended up going backward and eddying in this space too. And then we see this boundary going across, this boundary going across, and this one here having like a strange stagger, which suggests maybe this is actually flowing this way and pushing whatever is going this way across here and then past it and then across again. And then both of these are loose in the stone, loose, also loose, separately loose from one another. So then it has this line here. Okay, let's check out the stone a bit again. So just looking at this fracture in it, it just looks like a crack or something, you know. Oh, it just looks like a crack, whatever. But if we go like that and turn it, it's super straight. And then on the other side, if we could just kind of go like that. We see it continue on the other side in that dark spot. That's crazy. Like it definitely could have got through. Etching over there though. But then ultimately going over there to this spot. Or vice versa. I'm not sure which direction. They're so straight. It's crazy. It's like at an angle. It kind of comes in and slopes a little bit at the very bottom as it like enters the spiral to like go to the edge of the spiral. So some of it is going down, some of it is going up along this way. And then getting caught probably in the stone up here. Just like not able to get out and eddying all the way along between the pressures, with some venting here though. While going through this way. Continuing a little bit, like we can see it continue in a thin thread that bends anyway again. Almost like there's pressure coming out of that, venting out of that and going downward. I don't know. Just a thought. And then the divide, that doesn't make any sense. Oh yeah, it's totally normal for there to be a straight line cut in this freaking weird ass whatever it is. Someone told me it's like, I don't know. I don't even think paleontologists could agree what the hell this is when I showed them what this so-called fossil is, just to get like opinions. But a straight line through it that continues but also bends, and at that bend has a divide. Like, why would that even happen? That then merges over there. Wow. Strongly suggesting that there's a current coming down towards the eddy that we were just looking at on like the left side of this, where we're looking here. And then on the right side it's going up. And it like short circuits along the right side to go up. I guess it's easier to like okay. Do like this, but where there's literally two directions. Okay, here we go. So then goes that way, but then there's this way that cuts through here, and then also is traveling here. It's just in the rest of it beyond here, it's just eroded, so it's not very clear. But this one, where it like bends around it to create this thinning, that's why I would suggest it's doing that, because of that thinning aspect to it. Just a thought. Let's keep looking now. Then it goes down. And then has like a freaking... like, where is that? Oh, yeah, okay. But it's continuous across the shale. Oops. You can even see little striations across that bit of shale. That connects the two sides. Little chakra looking shapes along there. Just for good measure. Different paths through. Wow. Yeah, someone came along and said, you know what this stone needs? It needs current flow looking edges that push down on this point right here. That's what this stone needs. Like, will we highlight it? No. Why would we highlight it? They'll find it later after. So that way they know they made a good decision. Oh my god, the way that is right there, that's insane. It's kind of tedious to take pictures of this. Like, what? This segment, like, right here. Like, the way it is going across at very parallel. And then subtly bends. Subtle as fuck. So subtle. And then continues. Like, parallel. With this. Kind of tilting into here too, like up here, but still continuing, tilting, almost like more where there's a transition zone of the interaction from the tilt, while it's generally going across, like continuously over here too, just with this like tiltness in this region that's extending. Other things around, like the angles over here as it leads into the angles here. I didn't do that very good on the first one there. With those downward ones here abruptly as the stone goes down. This thing goes down. This itself kind of makes me think of the downward too. Just that it has this arcing section only. But what did I freaking... Let me look at this real quick. It was kind of crazy. Because these features... Oh, there it was, moving the thing in and out. Boop. 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 These things really... I'm like, what the hell is going on with this stone? Why does it got these things like that? I mean, it's kind of centered over there, I was thinking. Over towards the other side where the drill pointed through towards. To the other side. Like they're kind of centered around that, if anything. Like centered around this region. Not so much this ammonite, even though they're kind of like branching off it. Like a lobe growing. Like it's kind of behaving also like another lobe off of the side. But that's not what I was most interested in when I was thinking about it. That's also cool. This is so cool, this part of the stone. It's got so many cool features that that part maybe gets less attention than I've... There's that, them intersecting. It's also angled, like it's not just directly down, it's kind of like 45-degree angle, which we see from it going across the ammonite. Oh, fuck. Whatever the hell is going on with my skin is probably on my freaking ear. Oh my god, it hurts. Glasses, it's like... it doesn't hurt that much, I'm just being a bitch. Bruh. There's children missing limbs with fucking no pain meds, no nothing, just... Okay, so let me think though. What I was thinking is that current flow went in somewhere. I forgot. Unless this is not the Shaligram. I don't know what other Shaligram it would have been. I'm pretty sure this is the only one I was looking at like this recently. Oh, darn. I really don't remember. So be it. It was something like dominant recessive about it, but that's alright. Whereas like a recessive aspect because... I'm sorry, Shaligram. Because it wasn't dominant. But now I'm just not seeing it at all because it wasn't all that recessive at all either, I guess. The striations on this. Oh. What was it? It was so cool. Whatever I saw, I was like, whoa. This stone is insane. On top of all the other stuff. What is going on? Let's see. Still don't really see, but totally normal. The striations change at the freaking boundary there. Oh man. Striations alone are like one of the most incredible things on Shaligrams. Like, dear God. I kid. It's kind of weird to see my face and to know that people will judge me. Like, I'm putting myself to be judged. This fucking blows. I didn't ask for this. Oh, he said fuck. Oh, he's cursing. Are you sure it's cursing? Now I gotta fucking tell you what a curse is. Cause you fucking go curse me after this. Oh, you go to... Like, nah, that's not really a curse. It's just a word that has a lot of power. That's why people don't like it. Same as everything else. They want to stay in power. And they figured out weed, for example. Oh, these people are thinking too much. And then, like, those people who realize that are like, well, they're gone now. We need some money. So let's legalize this vice. Like, the nuances are insane. Way more complex than modern science even begins to acknowledge about these stones. Like, dudes, I can speak on this, modern science. The striations on Shaligram stones are... What's your fucking stance, modern science? You gonna call them tool marks? Is that what you're gonna do, modern science? You gotta put the period at the end of the sentence if that's what you're gonna say. They're not dull marks. Checking some earthquakes. See what's happened. Last I saw was that one. Still Kamchatka going. Let's say 30. Here's the exit point. The last week they've been back here largely then, I guess. Or last day, I guess. Still an outlier at the chakra region, right? Yeah. Super in that location. I haven't really been looking at this recently. But then there's a North Mariana Trench one. Or Mariana Islands, I guess, in this case. And then 3 more. Bigger one, 5.5. About to fall off the list, though. 7.5's gone. There was also a 5.2. Since South Sandwich Islands, the Scotia Arc. I'm thinking this region is going to. It's basically the low pressure. Something like this happened, I guess. Where, like, let's just say the Arctic. I don't know where this pressure is. Let's just say up here. It became a high pressure under the crust. And this region is all kind of interrelated. I didn't quite get to the edge there. Really, like there, even. And then this has been venting into this general region, which was a low pressure. And it's becoming, like, this is dropping in pressure. It's going down. This is going up. Which then (7.5) at the entry point. And then it's kind of got a margin. So that had a large earthquake happened there, not 7 plus, but relatively large, 5.2. Gives me the impression that maybe this helped open the way. So current is now flowing into here more. I mean, there's been several earthquakes here. Let's look at let's look at more data than a day. Yeah, like, this is what? July 29th, July 30th, July 31st, July 27th, July 27th. Really nothing August 6th, August 2nd, August 16th, August 4th. So, like, some stuff over here, which suggests this is not being fed by Scotia Arc related stuff. The Scotia Sea region undercurrents below the crust. It's not being, these are not being fed by that, but maybe the same pressures over here are interacting with other currents, but ultimately other currents are at play for this probably, where this one, to me, that it happened when it's been like a month for the ones around it, and it just happened after this stuff, the 7.5, and several others all kind of clustered in like the same spot, as well as one today even in that spot. And then others over here, where's this, these two? 814, 86, 22, 19, 21, 17. I'm just thinking ultimately that this region over here is a low pressure relative to what this is, which is becoming higher and higher as this vents through Kamchatka anything it can out this way. And it has slowly but surely made its way to its next destination, basically, which, and like its next major pinch point. It can go across here and follow like paths over into North America, but it seems like those kind of like arc back. They struggle to really exhaust that way. It can go also through here, and so like some of these earthquakes are probably related to exhausts from over at Kamchatka that have been enabled by the just swarm of earthquakes in the 8.8 and the 7.4. Mostly the 8.8, but just the swarm in general that are redirecting flows out of there is my interpretation, allowing it at times at least, like it's certainly like back and forth where this goes up and sometimes it goes this way, but ultimately it's like generally venting over here to a point where we had a 7.5, which makes me think somewhere in the Scotia region is a 8 plus, depending on how much energy vented, like out this way and out this way, maybe like an 8.5, because 8.8 is a lot of energy that is probably just allowing a lot of current through that is generally getting into this overall basin here and increasing the pressure, and so it like burst at the seam kind of things where some of it's going other ways, but I don't think it's where there's like earthquakes over here and earthquakes over here that have been happening. Like these ones. There was one of these 17th. I thought there was one today even. And then this cluster over here. 728, 730, 728, 730, 729, 728, 729, 728, 728, 730. They're all so around when the 8.8 happened. When is this one? Just before the 8.8 as well. 7.5. 7.0. The 7.4 was on the 20th over here of July. So it's not on this list, but do still have the 8.8 showing up. A couple more days, really. So it took till the 21st after the 20th for the earthquake over here to maybe propagate energy all the way across. And so if there's a 7.4 on the 20th and then 9 days later an 8.8, maybe 9 days later, the 30th, I was thinking, if it's propagating across there, I mean, it seems like some of it should kind of culminate somewhere in some amount of time where there's like a distinct aftershock. I wonder if I look at 1952 data. Sorry, this is no longer Shaligrams. I just switched to earthquakes again. Wow. Okay, modify search. What was I gonna do? 1950. 1953. 7 search. Nothing over here. 9.0 on the November. Nothing over here. Let's say largest. Oh, this is. Oh. The next. Okay. I'm just looking for the next. There's the 9. And then a 7 not far away. Turkey. Shit. Fucking. The next largest one is a 7.6, so maybe that was the like propagation to Drake Passage. I don't know though. If what I'm thinking is true, I'm just thinking, does it have to be like systematic? This game is so fucking difficult and risky. I don't know why people get so into predicting as I get really super into it. I guess when you start hitting, it's just like, I hit that one, like, what does that even mean? What does that even mean? Doesn't mean shit. I missed, dude. I gotta be batting 1,000. At least like a hot streak. And I mean a hot streak. Any misses are like back to his start, dude. Stiff upper lip. I think I am healing. That's good. As I look at myself. Oh, VR Troll. That's where I came across this. The guy who has a YouTube channel, and I talked about some images of his. These ones. I don't know if these are his images from his talk, though. He mentioned one of his friends had a paper titled this. He's a freaking #2 author. What he was describing it as a friend's paper. I didn't notice he was the #2 author. He sounds super knowledgeable on the like all sorts of things in the area. So I mean, I could see him like just getting like a advisory nod to the #2 role. I don't know. Canadian Arctic islands expose a complex network of dikes and sills that belong to the high Arctic large igneous province. Intruded volatile, rich sedimentary rocks of the Sverdrup Basin, shale limestone, sandstone, and evaporate. Some 130 to 120 around the time Ontong Java was beginning to form. There's thus great potential in studying the high Arctic large igneous province to learn how volatile, rich sedimentary rocks responded to magmatic heating events during large igneous province emplacement. The Halep remains, however, one of the least well-known large igneous provinces on the planet due to its remote location. Least well-known, I don't know. Short field season and harsh climate. I don't know if known or just like studied. They probably mean studied more so. Also known, but studied too. Canadian-Swedish team of geologists set out in summer 2015 to further explore the high Arctic large igneous province sills and their sedimentary host rocks. Okay. Formed during short-lived pulses of extensive, usually plume-related magmatic activity, and have created vast igneous terrain such as continental flood basalts or oceanic plateaus. Many of them coincide with climate shifts, and some correspond with mass extinction events. Etc., etc. Eureka. Why so many places gotta be called Eureka? Like California. I'm like, do I have to look at this place? I don't care. Resolute. Maybe I do care. Tormenting me with these meanings. Geographic North Pole. Hey, where is this? It doesn't. Oh, here's the description. Projection to show them location of during. I don't think that's. Oh. There's the North Pole. Okay. I was thinking it was paleomagnitude. That's why. Or magnetism. Paleomagnetic pole, I was thinking was Eureka there. But no. It's talking geographic current North Pole there. There's Eureka, Resolute. I don't know why they matter. EL, Sills, Dikes, and Lava, Sills, and Dikes. Eureka. So it's got Sills, Dikes, and Lavas towards the pole. And then just Sills and Dikes beyond that. And a limit of a Sverdrup basin that like cuts across basin. I talked about basins in my underground science episode today. Oh, I'm stoked with that concept. I'm freaking tired all day. What was I looking at? Oh yeah. Eureka moments. Resolute, Eureka. Carboniferous to Permian. That's pretty early. Permian ending at 252-ish. Most northernly inhabited weather stations in the world, located 80 degrees north, Ellesmere Island. Surprisingly comfortable, despite being located on the outermost fringe of civilization. Dollarite cells. Black shale. Lasted 40 million years. According to plate tectonics interpretation and all that, but alas, wolf print. Crystal lined vug. Kind of looks like zooming in on a Shaligram in some ways, and sometimes some of the details. Alright, dude, so I guess let's see if there's any new Shaligrams. I might wanna. Oh, fuck, that website's not working. Maybe. Shit. Shit. They have issues like that a lot. Sometimes I get worried, like, oh no! Wow. It's definitely new Shaligrams, but they're kind of not. They look to be different Shaligrams. Cool. Is that an individual stone? Just like, that's kind of. Anyway. Typical incredible Shaligram. When they're broken, I'm like, no. I mean, it's nice to be able to see it, but it's nice to be able to see it whole. Wow. Where is that? Pretty common type of Shaligram in general, though. In that there's nothing that's like popped out as disproving science in any particular way. Definitely incredible. This looks kind of like suture patterns forming on the outer thing. I like. Also, like that over here. It just decided not to complete the structure like this. What? Like it's spaced apart all the way, and then, you know what? We're gonna stay together over here because that's what fossils do. Oh my lord. The inner part of this is super cool. That piece, wow. You can see the dendrites on the bottom of that one. And then the ribs on the top of it all. So it's going over top it with ribs, cutting underneath it, making dendrites, and just some reason sliced this region off. Like it's super sliced looking. Maybe it's just flowing along it, but I'm not sure what to make of stuff like that where it looks straight up like fingerprints. I think it's just legitimately like the fingerprints of the current, of how they formed it. It's the prints of God. Wow. Definitely like weirdly shaped, like folding into the shape of the stone over here. So it's like super straight looking. And then here it's kind of like arced and then kind of straight. It also looks like it's forming chakras, like a nucleus here. Like chakra going down, up, and a lobe out this way with the nucleus. There's definitely something here that's kind of chakra-like on the end there too. Well, this is the imprint from that. It's also anomalous as fuck. Wow. What the fuck? So anomalous. Anomaly. It's like normally there's a inflowing and outflowing. Maybe both. Maybe both inflowing from different directions, but they're going different directions. That are like two snakeheads that wrap around each other at the chakra to a point where it doesn't really show it, but normally doesn't show it. But here we see like a little path there and one adjacent to it that kind of suggests maybe two paths. And then like a narrowing over here that kind of goes around this way to there. Like these ribs are not all the way to the center. They kind of go along this margin to over here, where then it actually becomes like a snakehead looking shape. It was just like a recessed into the stone there, and then opposing it over here, like downward, like a snakehead again. It's just sourced from a rounded beyond it, where that's just kind of like part and parcel of how ammonites formed, and it's just not usually captured, so that like any bit of that is like clear usually. Okay, I could actually check out some freaking videos. And this one maybe? Yeah, let's see if they got any more. Oh yeah, this one's crazy. So here's the one with the chakra on the side. It's just like so current going this way is just slipping. It doesn't have the space, so it's not etching. It's going out into the surrounding currents and exhausted, so it's not etching. Wow. Makes me think of life. I'm not creating art anymore. I must be exhausted. Literally, though. It's like a teardrop for this sad moment of exhaustion with a chakra ammonite on one end and then some weird stuff going on. And then frickin' so any of these could have the current, like, because essentially current is flowing along. It could run into enough resistance and be like overlain by other currents, so it can't just go outward to a point where it has to like flex in and eddies into along like their path flow, so that like there's a opening that forms like here with chakras visible, but it just looks the same otherwise. And then like say an opening here, it just didn't do it, but it can do it. It just got through more like a laser beam current than one that has an offshoot. Super cool Shaligram there. Oops. I forgot there was another ammonite in this one. Kind of like opposite to each other. Oh shit, I wonder if he makes music. That would be crazy if that was him. I've never seen this dude. I'll just see his hand. Wow. These... I don't even know where to begin. Super cool, super cool. I don't know if I'll say much about them unless there's like a particular thing that really pops out. I guess I should go to his page. standard. They just all are like this. So in terms of like the ammonite structure, going to like appropriately end where the stone was eroded to. Not all, but many. Okay. Let's see what's up with this one. Looks like a chakra on the side there. That's like super anomalous. Looks like a freaking hamburger. This bottom doesn't look very defined. It's super flat. Oh my god. I don't really see the chakra that I thought I saw. Wow. Like it looks like a chakra there. Maybe it's more just forming like a bivalve shape in that instance due to circumstances. That's bivalves are actually more where that like two things interacting happens and is visible than in ammonites themselves. Looked like the one we saw a little bit ago was like a bivalve that got far enough along that it actually became an ammonite in those types of instances that I'm referring to. Like, pretty sure it's... I've really not added many shaligrams, so it's pretty sure it's like right up here somewhere. Here it is, this one. Where they're kind of like, they need to like run into each other. This and this, but they're like shifted off. Although that's actually in a lobe setting, which is interesting in its own way. That happens apparently. Just kind of cutting in, up. Wow. I love it when they start on a cool feature and then there's just like a super cool feature. That aspect of it, I didn't really see that coming. After it turned into this face, I didn't expect it to be like boom. Boom. Little beep there, some oddities all around, but strange looking. Hard to say what's going on based so far. Weird, just weird. Hard to make out in that camera. Slicing, it's literally taking one shaligram and making two out of it. With a dividing current that's like wrapping around like a belt that's just pinching and segmenting two parts. Just didn't get far enough. I'm just looking at it. I'd like to look at this one like straight on, kinda like turned, kinda like that angle. If it's in any way starting to make chakras, Maybe like there. I don't know. I guess it could be, but nothing. Like it's definitely dominantly this eddy still. While this equatorial or this pinching current went around it. Not really equatorial. Equatorial is along the length of the ammonite when there's one ammonite like that usually. I'd say always. Always. When it's big ammonite fell in the stone like that. Again with the things that shouldn't be there. These just connecting the two sides. Okay, dudes. Now I'm gonna head out. Thanks for watching. Peace out. See you next time. Hope that was fun, enjoyable, and informative. And the music, also hope it was good. Shout out to... Shit, I'm like past my music already. Fuck. It never seems to like do anything. Okay. Peace out, dudes.